Somerset is a county in southwest England which borders Gloucestershire and Bristol to the north, Wiltshire to the east, Dorset to the southeast and Devon to the southwest. It is bounded to the north and west by the Severn Estuary and the Bristol Channel, its coastline facing southeastern Wales. Its traditional border with Gloucestershire is the River Avon. Somerset's county town is Taunton. Somerset is a rural county of rolling hills such as the Blackdown Hills, Mendip Hills, Quantock Hills and Exmoor National Park, and large flat expanses of land including the Somerset Levels. There is evidence of human occupation from Paleolithic times, and of subsequent settlement in the Roman and Anglo-Saxon periods. The county played a significant part in the consolidation of power and rise of King Alfred the Great, and later in the English Civil War and the Monmouth Rebellion. The city of Bath is famous for its substantial Georgian architecture and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Toponymy: Somerset's name derives from Old English Sumers-te, short for some or tons-te, meaning the people living at or dependent on some fortune. The first known use of Somerset is in the law code of King Ine, who was the Saxon king of Wessex from 688 to 726, making Somerset along with Hampshire, Wiltshire and Dorset one of the oldest extant units of local government in the world. An alternative suggestion is the name derives from Seomir Satan, meaning settlers by the sea lakes. The people of Somerset are mentioned in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles entry for AD 845 in the inflected form Somersetum, and the county is recorded in the entry for 1015 using the same name. The archaic name Somersetshire was mentioned in the Chronicles entry for 878. Although Somersetshire was in common use as an alternative name for the county, it went out of fashion in the late 19th century, and is no longer used, possibly due to the adoption of Somerset as the county's official name after the establishment of the County Council in 1889. As with other counties not ending in shire, the suffix was superfluous, as there was no need to differentiate between the county and a town within it. The Old English name is used in the motto of the county, Sumers Tail, meaning all the people of Somerset, adopted as the motto in 1911. The phrase is taken from the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Somerset was a part of the Anglo-Saxon kingdom of Wessex, and the phrase refers to the wholehearted support the people of Somerset gave to King Alfred in his struggle to save Wessex from Viking invaders. Somerset is GW have in Welsh, GWLAs and HAV in Cornish, and Bro and HANV in Breton, which all mean country of the summer. Somerset's settlement names are mostly Anglo-Saxon in origin, but some hill names include Brittonic Celtic elements. For example, an Anglo-Saxon charter of 682 refers to Creechborough Hill as the hill the British call Crucktan and we call Crichbeor. Some modern names are Brythonic in origin, such as Tarnick, while others have both Saxon and Brythonic elements, such as Pen Hill. History: the caves of the Mendip Hills were settled during the Paleolithic period, and contain extensive archaeological sites such as those at Cheddar Gorge. Bones from Gough's Cave have been dated to 12,000 BC, and a complete skeleton, known as Cheddar Man, dates from 7150 BC. Examples of cave art have been found in Avalon's Hole. Some caves continued to be occupied until modern times, including Wookey Hole. The Somerset Levels, specifically dry points at Glastonbury and Brent Knoll, also have a long history of settlement, and are known to have been settled by Mesolithic hunters. Travel in the area was facilitated by the construction of one of the world's oldest known engineered roadways, the Sweet Track, which dates from 3807 BC to 3806 BC. The exact age of the henge monument at Stanton Drew stone circles is unknown, but it is believed to be Neolithic. There are numerous Iron Age hill forts, some of which, like Cadbury Castle and Ham Hill, were later reoccupied in the early Middle Ages, on the authority of the future Emperor Vespasian, as part of the ongoing expansion of the Roman presence in Britain. The Second Legion Augusta invaded Somerset from the southeast in AD 47. The county remained part of the Roman Empire until around AD 409, when the Roman occupation of Britain came to an end. A variety of Roman remains have been found, including Pagan's Hill Roman Temple in Chewstoke, Loham Roman Villa and the Roman Baths that gave the name to the city of Bath. After the Romans left, Britain was invaded by Anglo-Saxon peoples. By AD 600 they had established control over much of what is now England, but Somerset was still in native British hands. The British held back Saxon advance into the southwest for some time longer, but by the early 8th century King Ian of Wessex had pushed the boundaries of the West Saxon kingdom far enough west to include Somerset. The Saxon royal palace in Cheddar was used several times in the 10th century to host the White Nagemot. After the Norman conquest, the county was divided into 700 fiefs, and large areas were owned by the Crown, with fortifications such as Dunster Castle used for control and defence. Somerset contains H.M. Prison Shepton Mallet, which was England's oldest prison still in use prior to its closure in 2013, having opened in 1610. In the English Civil War, Somerset was largely parliamentarian, with key engagements being the sieges of Taunton and the Battle of Langport. In 1685 the Monmouth Rebellion was played out in Somerset and neighbouring Dorset. The rebels landed at Lyme Regis and travelled north hoping to capture Bristol and Bath, but they were defeated in the Battle of Sedgemoor at Western Zoyland, the last pitched battle fought in England. Arthur Wellesley took his title, Duke of Wellington, from the town of Wellington. He is commemorated on a nearby hill by a large, spotlit obelisk, known as the Wellington Monument. The Industrial Revolution in the Midlands and northern England spelled the end for most of Somerset's cottage industries. Farming continued to flourish, however, and a Bath and West of England Society for the Encouragement of Agriculture, Arts, Manufactures and Commerce was founded in 1777 to improve farming methods. Despite this, 20 years later John Billingsley conducted a survey of the county's agriculture in 1795 and found that agricultural methods could still be improved. Coal mining was an important industry in North Somerset during the 18th and 19th centuries, and by 1800 it was prominent in Radstock. The Somerset coalfield reached its peak production by the 1920s, but all the pits have now been closed, the last in 1973. Most of the surface buildings have been removed, and apart from a winding wheel outside Radstock Museum, little evidence of the former existence remains. Further west, the Brandon Hills were mined for iron ore in the late 19th century. This was taken by the West Somerset Mineral Railway to Watchet Harbour for shipment to the furnaces at Ebbw Vale. Many Somerset soldiers died during the First World War, with the Somerset Light Infantry suffering nearly 5,000 casualties. War memorials were put up in most of the county's towns and villages. Only 9, described as the Thankful Villages, had none of the residents killed. During the Second World War the county was a base for troops preparing for the D-Day landings. Some of the hospitals which were built for the casualties of the war remain in use. The Taunton stop line was set up to repel a potential German invasion. The remains of its pillboxes can still be seen along the coast and south through Ilminster and Chard. A number of decoy towns were constructed in Somerset in World War II to protect protect Bristol and other towns at night. They were designed to mimic the geometry of blacked-out streets, railway lines, and Bristol Temple Meads railway station, to encourage bombers away from these targets. One, on the radio beam flight path to Bristol, was constructed on Beacon Batch. It was laid out by Shepperton Studios, based on aerial photographs of the city's railway marshalling yards. The decoys were fitted with dim red lights, simulating activities like the stoking of steam locomotives. Burning bales of straw soaked in creosote were used to simulate the effects of incendiary bombs dropped by the first wave of Pathfinder night bombers. Meanwhile, incendiary bombs dropped on the correct location were quickly smothered wherever possible. Drums of oil were also ignited to simulate the effect of a blazing city or town, with the aim of fooling subsequent waves of bombers into dropping the bombs on the wrong location. The Magna decoy town was hit by half a dozen bombs on the 2nd of December 1940, and over 1,000 incendiaries on the 3rd of January 1941. The following night the uphill decoy town, protecting Weston-super-Mare's airfield, was bombed. A herd of dairy cows was hit, killing some and severely injuring others. Human geography. Boundaries. The boundaries of Somerset are largely unaltered from medieval times. The River Avon formed much of the border with Gloucestershire, except that the hundred of Bath Forum, which straddles the Avon, formed part of Somerset. Bristol began as a town on the Gloucestershire side of the Avon. However, as it grew it extended across the river into Somerset. In 1373 Edward III proclaimed that the town of Bristol with its suburbs and precincts shall henceforth be separate from the counties of Gloucester and Somerset, and that it should be a county by itself. The present-day northern border of Somerset runs along the southern bank of the Avon from the Bristol Channel, then follows around the southern edge of the Bristol built-up area, before continuing upstream along the Avon, and then diverges from the river to include Bath and its historic hinterland to the north of the Avon, before meeting Wiltshire at the Three Shire Stones on the Fosse Way at Bath Eastern. Cities and towns. Somerton took over from Wiltshire as the county town in the late 13th century, but it declined in importance and the status of county town transferred to Taunton about 1366. The county has 2 cities, Bath and Wells, and 30 towns. The largest urban areas in terms of population are Bath, Weston-super-Mare, Taunton, Yeovil and Bridgewater. Many settlements developed because of the strategic importance in relation to geographical features, such as river crossings of valleys and ranges of hills. Examples include Axe Bridge on the River Axe, Castle Carey on the River Carey, North Pedderton on the River Parrett, and Ilminster, where there was a crossing point on the River Isle. Midsummer Norton lies on the River Somer, while the Wellow Brook and the Fosse Way Roman Road run through Radstock. Chard is the most southerly town in Somerset, and at an altitude of 121 meters it is also the highest. Physical geography. Geology. Much of the landscape of Somerset falls into types determined by the underlying geology. These landscapes are the limestone karst and lias of the north, the clay vales and wetlands of the centre, the oolites of the east and south, and the Devonian sandstone of the west. To the northeast of the Somerset levels, the Mendip Hills are moderately high limestone hills. The central and western Mendip Hills was designated an area of outstanding natural beauty in 1972 and covers 198 square kilometers. The main habitat on these hills is calcareous grassland, with some arable agriculture. To the southwest of the Somerset levels are the Quantock Hills, Wales, which was England's first area of outstanding natural beauty designated in 1956, which is covered in heathland, oak woodlands, ancient parklands with plantations of conifer and covers 99 square kilometres. The Somerset coalfield is part of a larger coalfield which stretches into Gloucestershire. To the north of the Mendip Hills is the Chew Valley, and to the south, on the clay substrate, are broad valleys which support dairy farming and drain into the Somerset levels. Caves and rivers. There is an extensive network of caves, including Wookey Hole, underground rivers, and gorges, including the Cheddar Gorge and Ebba Gorge. The county has many rivers, including the Axe, Rue, Carey, Parrett, Sheppey, Tone and Yeo. These both feed and drain the flat levels and moors of Mid and West Somerset. In the north of the county, the River Chew flows into the Bristol Avon. The Parrett is tidal almost to Langport, where there is evidence of 2 Roman wharfs. At the same site during the reign of King Charles I, river tolls were levied on boats to pay for the maintenance of the bridge. Levels and moors. The Somerset levels are a sparsely populated wetland area of central Somerset, between the Quantock and Mendip Hills. They consist of marine clay levels along the coast, and the inland moors. The levels are divided into 2 by the Paulden Hills. Land to the south is drained by the River Parrett, while land to the north is drained by the River Axe and the River Brew. The total area of the levels amounts to about 647.5 square kilometers and broadly corresponds to the administrative district of Sedgemoor, but also includes the southwest of Mendip district. Approximately 70% of the area is grassland and 30% is arable, stretching about 32 kilometers inland. This expanse of flat land barely rises above sea level. Before it was drained, much of the land was under a shallow brackish sea in winter and was marshland in summer. Drainage began with the Romans, and was restarted at various times by the Anglo-Saxons, in the Middle Ages by the Glastonbury Abbey, from 1400 to 1770, and during the Second World War, with the construction of the Huntspool River. Pumping and management of water levels still continues. The North Somerset Levels Basin, north of the Mendips, covers a smaller geographical area than the Somerset Levels, and forms a coastal area around Avonmouth. It too was reclaimed by draining. It is mirrored, across the Severn Estuary, in Wales, by a similar low-lying area, the Caldicot and Wentloog levels. In the far west of the county, running into Devon, is Exmoor, a high Devonian sandstone moor, which was designated as a national park in 1954, under the 1949 National Parks and Access to the Countryside Act. The highest point in Somerset is Dunkery Beacon on Exmoor, with an altitude of 519 metres. Over 100 sites in Somerset have been designated as sites of special scientific interest. Coastline. The 64 km coastline of the Bristol Channel and Severn Estuary forms part of the northern border of Somerset. The Bristol Channel has the second largest tidal range in the world. At Burnham-on-Sea, for example, the tidal range of a spring tide is more than 12 meters. Proposals for the construction of a Severn barrage aim to harness this energy. The island of Steepholm in the Bristol Channel is within the ceremonial county and is now administered by North Somerset Council. The main coastal towns are, from the west to the northeast, Minehead, Watchet, Burnham-on-Sea, Weston-super-Mare, Clevedon and Portishead. The coastal area between Minehead and the eastern extreme of the administrative county's coastline at Brean Down is known as Bridgewater Bay, and is a national nature reserve. North of that, the coast forms Western Bay and Sand Bay, whose northern tip, Sandpoint, marks the lower limit of the Severn Estuary. In the mid and north of the county, the coastline is low as the level wetlands of the levels meet the sea. In the west, the coastline is high and dramatic where the plateau of Exmoor meets the sea, with high cliffs and waterfalls. Climate. Along with the rest of southwest England, Somerset has a temperate climate which is generally wetter and milder than the rest of the country. The annual mean temperature is approximately 10 degrees Celsius. Seasonal temperature variation is less extreme than most of the United Kingdom because of the adjacent sea temperature. The summer months of July and August are the warmest, with mean daily maxima of approximately 21 degrees Celsius. In winter, mean minimum temperatures of 1 degree Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius are common. In the summer, the Azores high pressure affects the southwest of England, but convective clouds sometimes forms inland, reducing the number of hours of sunshine. Annual sunshine rates are slightly less than the regional average of 1,600 hours. In December 1998, there were 20 days without sun recorded at Wiltshire. Most the rainfall in the southwest is caused by Atlantic depressions or by convection. Most of the rainfall in autumn and winter is caused by the Atlantic depressions, which is when they are most active. In summer, a large proportion of the rainfall is caused by sun heating the ground, leading to convection and to showers and thunderstorms. Average rainfall is around 700 millimeters. About 8 to 15 days of snowfall is typical. November to March have the highest mean wind speeds, and June to August the lightest winds. The predominant wind direction is from the southwest.